Officials in Ghana say the government has wrapped up its International Monetary Fund bailout program, ending a $3 billion emergency support package. Accra says it helped restore macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability ahead of schedule. Ghana's presidency says inflation has reduced significantly, the currency has strengthened and public debt has declined sharply. In December, President John Dramani Mahama announced the country would gradually exit the I.M.F program thanks to reforms undertaken since 2024. The I.M.F says Ghana's program delivered substantial stabilization gains, including improved reserves, stronger fiscal performance, and progress in restructuring public debt. It warned, however, that maintaining the reform momentum was critical to sustaining growth. Ghana will now transition to an I.M.F policy coordination instrument, which supports reforms and signals policy credibility to investors without providing direct funding.
Hello, my people. As you can see in that short video clip, that Ghana have finally exit the I.M.F bailout fund. You know what I mean? You know, because when you live your life in borrowing, is not a win; it's a loss. You know, you live in debt. You know what I mean? But I'm happy that you know, this current president of Ghana, I think he's trying to do the right thing for his people. You know, and because I.M.F, you know, I think, you know, sometimes it's not good to mention this name, because if you mention this name, you know, the platform is not going to promote your video. You know what I mean? I think I.M.F is a tool, is a colonial tool, is functioning up to today. You know what I mean? This is, you know, because this colonization, it takes different forms. You know, because I don't understand why I.M.F, International Monetary Fund, is keep giving money, borrowing money to Africa just to live in debt. And all the example we have in people that you know, uplift their people from lift their people from poverty, you know, in a massive number like China, they don't depend on I.M.F alone. You know what I mean? But this is what we see in Africa. Our leaders keep going there. Yeah, but another point I want to make about Ghana is that even though they have exited this program, it's sad to hear that you know, it's sad to hear that they're still gonna keep these people close to them. I say, oh, you know, we're gonna work with them. You know, they still maintain this close relationship with I.M.F, which means the I.M.F, they're gonna be updating I.M.F. You know, because now you hand over your information to these colonial tools, you know, and you know they're not gonna work. They're not working for the interests of common African people. Come on, you should understand that. You know, you should understand that this money they're giving you, they don't even care about how you use it. You know, they only care about, they give you this figure, and this is what you're gonna pay back with interest. You're gonna pay them back. That's what they care. They don't care about, you know, this infrastructure you're doing or not. Even they can even undermine this chances of utilizing that money for your people. You know what I mean? Because that's what they do. They say, oh, we want to borrow money to carry out a project. You know, and sometimes these projects are white elephant projects. You know, and when I say white elephant project, is that it doesn't make sense using this money there. You know what I mean? I've seen how Africans, you know, politicians waste African money. They just waste it for nothing. For something that is white elephant project that's not gonna lift anyone from poverty. It's just gonna, they just wanna use this money. They just, because what they deal on contract, you know, they have this money, they borrow this money, and they have it, and they're gonna spend it. What are they gonna spend it? They're gonna go by the name that we are doing something with that money. That's what they're gonna say. This money went there. That's what they do. And sometimes it's just white elephant project, because they don't know what to do with that money, except you know, their interest in how are we gonna use this money to make money to reach ourselves, not to benefit the common African people on the street. You know what I mean? I've seen this project. You know, you can see somebody, you know, in Africa, a governor or a politician in Africa is start to build an international conference. You know what I mean? International conference house. You know, for what? Yeah, you are in Africa somewhere. You are building international conference. It's not hospital you are building. It's not even school. It's just conference hall. You don't understand what conference means. People don't attend conference all the time. Conference might be once in a year, you know what I mean? And you're wasting money building structure like that. And this is what they do. What can you do? And you think that these people, sometimes you look at them as dumb, you know? And sometimes is some of them will go and they start constructing something and that's just want to use that money for nothing because this is not helping. It doesn't benefit anyone. They don't. These politicians they only think short term. They only think as long as they can benefit them and their immediate children. They don't even talk about their grandchildren. How are they gonna you know, carry on in life. They don't talk about it. They don't even care. They only care that their immediate family and their friends, so they take this money and they use it. But Ghana, I think they are moving in the right direction. You know what I mean? Because they're having a lot of foreign investment in Ghana. Because I think Ghana is relatively secure. But the thing is that they should think ahead as well, because this foreign investment, if it doesn't trickle down to ordinary people in Ghana, you're just making life easy for these elites, those foreign investors. You're not making life easy for your people. That should be the primary motive of any meaningful development in Africa, is to make life easy for common people, not to make life hard for them. Peace.